Welcome to DBMS revision class for Unit 5. We have already taken up what was a transaction. It is some set of events to see that the program gets executed properly without any type of errors, etc. To do that, we already taken up the 4 words. That is the first word called as atomicity, second word called as concurrency, third word called as an isolation, and fourth word called as a durability. So coming to the very first part, we talked about this example. That is, there was a transaction with first to be done with read to transfer $50 from account A to account B. So the amount has to be deducted in A, then it has to be saved, then it has to be moved to the B, then it has to be added to the B's account, and finally it should be stored for the or the updated for the right with the right operation over the B's account. So if a transaction it is going to fail in any of the steps, that is from write 1 to 6 at any point of time, if a transaction is going to be internet problem or any other issues, any software or hardware error, if a transaction is going to fail, then it means that there is some loss of information and that it is going to lead to a word called as an inconsistency. So that is all regarding the first property called as atomicity. There are way to store the database. So we have ACID. So A stands for the first and durability it stands for the last. So now when coming to this durability, we will see that the transaction is going to be notified and it is going to be completed. And even though there are some software failures or even though there are some hardware failures, at any point of time, the transaction will not be lost. So transaction is permanent. Transaction is going to be a permanent state. So we have heard about some battery companies like Nippon Battery or Duracell Battery. So Duracell, there the word duro in sense, it is nothing but it lasts for long. So long period of time the battery works. So that is what the word we should capture, durability. So once a transaction is going to be permanent, it will not be erased or removed or etc. So long lasting for years together, the database will hold the transaction. Then we have the third property, that was consistency requirement. So when there is a consistency requirement, we will check for before and after change. We will see what happened before and what happened after, and we should see that the database is going to be stable. So if I am deducting 100 rupees from my account, it should be minus to me, and as I have deducted 100, I am transferring it to another people. So obviously it should be a positive. So at one end it should be deducted and another end it should be credited. It is not that in one end database is going to be deducted, in another end database doesn't deduct, credit, etc. So that may lead to some flaw. So to do this consistency, we require the external ways, that is the explicit way of specifying the integrity constraints with the primary key and foreign key. So that was the basic way to look at. So right from the starting to the ending of a transaction, and thereby also the database should be permanent. That is where we say some consistency is going to happen. So any unanimous transaction logic, maybe via the uh, implicit triggers with the integrity checks, then it is going to lead to a word called as a inconsistency. So at any point of time, data will be stable, and whatever constraints they are going to give, those constraints to be freezed, etc. So all that will be the requirement towards the consistency. The fourth point, meeting to the ACID property, that is the requirement properties of a transaction, will be the isolation. So in isolation, we will see that multiple transactions can happen. We will see that multiple transactions can happen, and uh, T1 is not aware of T2 is working, and T2 is not aware that T1 is working at the same time and same database, working on same database and same time. Because at one moment of time T1 is going, another moment of time T2 is going. So there will be a clash to access, and that it is going to say it is a partial update databases. So there are problems when we work with multiple constraints, multiple transactions in time. So to do that, we need to see that the transaction is going to be executed serially one after the other. There we have the word called as a serializability. There we have the word called as a serializability, where multiple content is going to be happen. So let us quick recap of what we mentioned here. We mentioned that a transaction, it is going to be a unit of a program, and the main intention was to see that there is an integrity ensurement in the data. That is first point. That is regarding the definition towards the transaction. The next way was to bring up the ACID properties. So as part of the definition of an ACID is going to concern, so either all operations of a transactions are properly reflected in the database or not. So one transaction step is failed, then we have to go for a rollback. We can't go for commit. So there the atomicity is bringing up. The next one was we will execution of a transaction is in isolation, and it is going to preserve the consistency of the database. Even though it is two transactions done in multiple, and even there is a overlapping, but still we need to see that database is preserved before and after the whatever database operations we done, that should be in a specific and serializable order. So when we come to the isolation, we will allow the multiple transactions to happen in parallel. We call it as concurrent, and both of them were unable that they are going to do in concurrent or parallel. That is, it can be TI or TJ, or it can be TJ or TI. So both of them, they are as a partial overlapping in the ensurement of the data. Next comes the durability. So when we talk about durability, after the transaction it is going to be successful, the database is persistent. When we say it is persistent, we call it as permanent, and it is stable storage. And it can say that no loss of data can happen, no loss of database or any type of transactions there. We see that that is a property where even the system failure, we will be able to in a position to recapture the data. Now, when we are doing with transactions, we need to understand regarding the transaction states. We need to understand about the transaction states. So in general, we have 5 states. One, we are going to call it as active. 2, we call it as partially committed. 3, we call it as failed. 4th one, we call it as aborted. And 5th one, we call it as committed. So these are the basic 5 transaction states which are going to happen. So the very first state, the initial state, it sees that we call it as an active state, and it keeps on executing the things. Next comes the partially committed state. So when we say there is a overlapping of transactions, that too in concurrency control, we can't make it permanent at that stage. Only half of a transaction was being checked. So it is not yet over. Therefore, we say the transaction here as a partially committed state. Next comes a fail. When it can be a fail, there is some the normal execution, we can't go longer due to some hardware failure or a system failure or a software failure. Whatever way it is, failure has happened. So that goes to the word called as a failed transaction. After that, we have the aborted transaction. So when we see that the transaction to be aborted, when we see that the transaction to be aborted, that means we need to kill the transaction. We need to kill the transaction, or we need to go back. We need to restart the transaction. At that time, we will check with a word called as a rollback. That is, we will use a word called as an undo, and thereby we will roll back to the previous state. So in order to see that the database is going to be restored to the previous state. So that is where the abortness of the databases is going to be coincident. After that, we have the permanent way of making the transaction as to be stored. We call that one as a committed state. So in committed state, we will use the command called as commit. We will use the command called as a commit. So now here is a diagram which is going to illustrate the transaction states. So active state, we say that we have a transaction begin, or we call it as initialization of a transaction. Now we have partially committed, that is in concurrent programming, since multiple users are going to work and they use the same resources at a time, so we have some partially committed transaction, and thereby it goes with a commit state. That is, we call it as permanent. So the cycle was it moves from active, then it moves from partially committed, that we call here as an intermediate state. There it is towards committed with an operation called as commit. If there is any failure, if there is any logical error or any problem, then it moves to the state called as failed state. We call it as a rollback state. So when it goes to a rollback state, then it is what we call it as aborted. So when it is an abort, we will kill the transaction, or we will kill the transaction, or we will restart the transaction. So in this model, we see that a transaction will go from active to the partial to the committed, nor to the partial committed to the failed and then to the aborted. In any of a model, the things are going to move up. The next one was when we talk about multiple transactions, two or more transactions, they are going to be executed simultaneously in parallel. Then we call that event as concurrent. Why we are going to call it as concurrent? The reason is we will increase the processor and disk utilization. We will have the processor, increased processor and disk utilization. So that is what we say throughput. That is what we are going to call as throughput. So in a unit interval of time, how many transactions the processor what it is going to do is it will reduce the average response time. So when there are multiple transactions going on at a time, the main intention was that the short transactions need not wait for a longer time. Obviously, we will say that the reduced average response time was going on at that particular point of time. Solve concurrent execution means there will be the concurrent consistency schemes which will roll up. So during this concurrency control scheme, we have the word called as schedule. So whatever sequence of instructions that specify the chronological order in which the instructions are concurrent transactions are executed. So every transaction is going to have some specific order. We can say that there is some transaction 1. We say it is begin, then step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have end. Similarly, there is another transaction to begin and step 1, 2, 3, 4 and end. Now executing transaction 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, we call it as a schedule. Similarly, executing transaction 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, we call as schedule. Right. So a sequence of instructions that it is going to specify a chronological order in which the instructions are going to be concurrently executed, we mean to say that word here as a schedule. So what will be the main aim when we are going to derive it with a schedule? The main aim was to see that it is going to have some set of transactions and all instructions should be followed one after the other, and it must preserve the order of the instructions what they are going to appear. We just mentioned step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So those items, they are going to be called as an order of execution of the items. Okay, fine. We have completed the transactions. We have successfully completed the transactions. Then we need to see that the transactions are going to be permanent, and that too, that it is going to be the last statement of the transaction to be executed. So at that point of time, we will see that it goes with an operation called as commit. So we talked about schedule. Schedule, we meant that it is going to be some set of instructions, etc. that is done, and thereby transaction was permanent because it has reached to the last step. So it is to be permanent. So we call commit there. Suppose if the transaction has some reasons, so due to that reasons it was failed, that is, it was not able to successfully complete the transaction, therefore we call that one as aborting the instruction. Therefore we call that one as aborting the instructions. So we talked about schedules, we talked about commit, and we talked about rollback. So when we need to address abort, then we will be taking up a command called as a transaction control language command, and that is where the abort is going to happen. Next was, we will talk about a schedule which is some set of instructions. So here is a transaction T1 where we need to transfer $50 from A to B, and transaction T2 which is to transfer 10% of a balance from A to B. Fine. Now the first part is what we need to do is we need to transfer $50 to one account to another account. This is part 1, and we happen some transfer. Then the second one was, this is part 2, where we need to give 10% transfer, that is from again A to B, and part 1 is also dealing with the A to B. Now First of all, we will talk about serial schedules. First of all, we will talk about serial schedule. So when it is a serial schedule, first T1 will be done and it is followed by T2. So T1, after we have T2. That's all. First we have T1, another with T2. So we have a read operation, then we sees that this amount of $50 was moved from A, then we store this into again A, then we will check the balance or we will open the transaction B, thereby we will add one thing, then we write it, and finally we will commit, that is, we will make it as permanent. We will make this item as permanent. So this entire set of thing, we say it is transaction 1. Then it is followed by T2. So we can say no overlap, no concurrent, only serial, one after the other. So we need to take up part 1. So this entire will go with part 1 and the other steps they are going to move with part 2. We read the A operation, we give 10% of the value to a temporary variable. Then we will move from account A, how much value it need to be taken up, and it is again stored in a temporary value. Then we will open the B's account and we will add the amount of how much we have deducted, etc. We write this into B's account and thereby we call it as permanent. So it is make permanent. Again, we are going to have commit also. So again, we will say it is make permanent. So what was the takeaway from this? First takeaway was there is no overlap. Second takeaway was they are not going to become current. They are serial, executes one after the other. Now, second one is also a serial schedule. Earlier we told T1 to T2 or T to T1. That is first T2, then T1. One after the other. Yeah. Either it is T1, T2 or either it is T2, T1. So we make the things, then we make it as permanent, and then we will take the second T1 and we will iterate it. So that is how one after the other the serial transactions they are going to be popularized. Next one. When we talk about this T1 and T2 transactions, let us see which is not seriable, not serial. It is what we are going to say. It is not serial. We are going to mention not serial. Why? Because why? Because here we have partial commit. We have first block, second block, third block, and fourth block. 4 blocks are going to be executed in this model: first, second, second, third, and third, fourth. We say it is partially commit. We say it is partially commit. So it is not equivalent. It is not equivalent to whatever item it is. So we can say it is not equivalent to first schedule, that is one after the other. The reason was we made not a permanent commit, we made a partial commit, because during the execution of T1, the T2 transaction started. The T2 transaction started, which is something different. The reason was the amount what we were talking about was 10%, and that 10% was overridden to this value. So the plus operation is not preserved. So that is the reason why the schedule 3 is not serial. Similarly, it happens to the schedule 4 also. So it is not committed. So partial commit, obviously the concurrent control, it is violation of serial schedule. It is again a violation of serial schedule. Now, are there any solutions? Yeah, there are some solutions. What are the solutions? The basic solution was we need to understand the word called as serializability. When we say that it is serializability, then the advantage will be the database consistency. The advantage will be taken up will be the database consistency. And this database consistency will be preserved via serial execution of transactions. How far is serial different from serializability? We will not able to know the order of how transactions are executed by the JVMs. So that is going to be the black box. But of course, without violating any database consistencies, concurrent transactions will be handled with a concept of serializability. And serializability is a equivalent to serial schedule, but not vice versa. Now, serializability is that it is supporting multiple transactions point number 10. 2. The order of execution, it is going to be decided by DBMS with database consistency preservation. So at any point of time, the database preservation will happen. Now, how we can take up serializability? It can be with conflict serializability, or it can be with a view serializability. One thing, it can be with a conflict serializability. Another thing, it can be with multiple serializability. In either of the two operations, we pretty much need towards read operation and towards write operation. A pretty much need is happening towards read operation or towards write operation. Now, L1 I have done read and it is done completely. So L1 and Li and Lj, they are going to be two instructions of transactions. And we should see that these two instructions doesn't have a conflict. So I have read and I have read. So there is no conflict. But there are some conflicts which are going to happen. I read something, then in another transaction I write something. The previous user is expecting the read, not the write, a failure. We call it as a conflict. I came for some data which is some 10, but just now you have updated the database to 20. If I get the same copy, I will get the 20th value, but not the old value. So there the conflict is going to arise. In the same way it happens when we make a write at one end and write at another end. Again, they may move to a word called as a conflicts serializability. So when we look at the definition part of the conflict serializability, if S can be transformed into S complement, now the series of swaps of non-conflict instructions, that is S and S bar, they are going to be conflict equivalent. So conflict equivalent, it is almost equivalent to serial schedule. So the very first way of serializability is going to be taken up with conflict serializability. That is, we specialize that we take up the serial transaction, but when we come out of any instructions in middle, at that point of time, we press a commit and we need to swap, and thereby we execute the content. So there we have this conflict serializability attending at this scenario. We will pause here. So